Hey kids, welcome back to our series called Game Over. In this series, we're looking at many situations in the Bible in which things look really bad. Like it was game over, but God came through and brought the victory. This series is teaching us about some of the most important, incredible comeback stories in the Bible. Before we get started, I have a question for you. Have you ever had something happen in your life that made you super sad? Super sad? Most of the time when we get sad, it only lasts a few hours or maybe a day. But sometimes sadness seems to want to hold on to us for a long time. Anybody know what is called when someone is sad for a long period of time? That's right. It's called depression. Depression is a serious issue for people, including children. Childhood depression is affecting more and more children every single year. We can choose to ignore that fact, or we can learn how to handle our depression the right way. We're going to learn all about how to handle depression today. Right now, I want you to check out this video.
Hey there!
What in the world? Don't ever do that to somebody who's deep in thought.
You mean someone who's down in the dumps?
Huh?
You're totally bummed that your friend moved away, right?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
I don't have to remind you. You've been depressed ever since she left. You hardly go anywhere, do anything, or even talk to anybody.
So?
So, that's not what God wants for you.
Well, I might as well just be depressed. She was my best friend. I'm never gonna have another friend like her. Well, I guess it's game over for me.
Not at all. God can turn around any situation. No matter how depressed you are, just give your cares to Him. God can help you even when you think it's game over.
You really think God can help me?
I know He can. And if He can help the prophet Elijah, who in the Bible was so depressed because he thought he was all alone, then I know He can help you.
Well, that's good news.
Hey, I saw you over here by yourself. Want to come play with us?
Sure.
Go on. My work here is done. And I guess it's time for you to get in your lesson today. You're going to learn how God can turn your depression around even when it feels like it's game over. This is Game Boy, signing off.
Depression is not something to joke about at all. It affects a lot of kids, teenagers, adults. But do you know what? It also affected the people in the Bible. The prophet Elijah had a season in his life in which he was completely down in the dumps, depressed. We're going to learn all about what happened to Elijah and how God taught him to deal with depression here in a little bit. But before we do that, we need to find out what you gotta know.
What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know?
Hey there kids, I'm Big Ray, and I'm here to tell you what you gotta know. Today, we're learning that when we are depressed, God can turn it around. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell them. When I'm feeling down, God can lift me up. What's going on here? I'm all alone. Oh, I'm sorry to see you down in the dumps, but you're not alone. I'm not, but there's no one here beside me. Nope, God is always with you. All you have to do is get in His presence and be still. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell him. When I'm feeling down, God can lift me up. That right there is what you gotta know. I'm Big Ray, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
What you gotta know.
Hey everybody, it's me Carl and I'm here at Taco Bill's. It's my favorite restaurant. The problem is, I'm always getting things mixed up with people's orders and, well, I'm always getting things mixed up with the power verse too. And I'm gonna need your help getting it unscrambled. So let's take a look, y'all. Don't be dejected in Nehemiah, for the joy of the sad is your strength. Lord 810b. See, I told y'all it was mixed up. Kind of like the time I pressed the wrong buttons on the cash register and someone's order came out as a butternut squash hamburger. It wasn't good and it ain't funny. I gotta stop mixing stuff up, especially the power verse. Y'all help me get this thing straightened out. Here we go. Don't be dejected in Nehemiah. That's not right. We can't be Nehemiah even if we wanted to. So we just move Nehemiah over to the side. Good idea. For the joy of the sad is your strength. Wait a second. What in the world is the joy of the sad supposed to mean? That's wackadoodle. What word should we move over? I agree. Let's move over the word sad. Now, where's this verse found? It says Lord 810b. Y'all ever read the book of Lord in the Bible? I sure ain't never read that one. Let's move Lord over to the side. What book of the Bible could we put there? That's right, the book of Nehemiah. Now, let's go through this verse again and see what we got. Don't be dejected and blank. What word could we put in that blank? That's right. Don't be dejected and sad, for the joy of the blank is your strength. I think y'all know what goes in that blank. Yep, the joy of the Lord is your strength. Whew, that's it. That's the whole enchilada. Let's try saying it together now on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't be dejected and sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10b. Hot dog. Now let's make sure we can remember it so we don't mix it up in our brains later on. Let's read it one more time together on the count of 3. Stand with me and let's say it loud. 1, 2, 3. Don't be dejected and sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10b. Great job, boys and girls. Now I've got to get back to the register. We just added a hot new menu item I've got to start selling. Strawberry kiwi tacos. It's gonna be a good time, so get you some. This is Carl from Taco Bill saying bye-bye, y'all.
Today's Bible story is about one of the most powerful prophets of the Bible, Elijah. It takes place at a time right after one of the biggest moments of Elijah's life. He had just had a showdown on top of Mount Carmel that proved to the entire nation of Israel that God was the real God and that Baal was a false god. It was a pretty awesome moment. Meanwhile, one of the rulers of the land, Queen Jezebel, heard what Elijah had done on Mount Carmel. She became so angry, she said, "I will make sure Elijah is dead by this time tomorrow." She sent a messenger to Elijah to tell him of her plans to kill him. When Elijah heard that Queen Jezebel was going to kill him, he ran for his life. He went out into the wilderness and collapsed under a tree. He was exhausted, weary, and very depressed. He prayed, "I have had enough, Lord. Take my life." He was so tired of the fighting against evil that he was just ready for God to kill him and take him to heaven. Wow, that's what I call a serious depression. An angel showed up and woke Elijah up from his sleep. He gave Elijah some food to eat and told him to continue on his journey. He traveled to Mount Horeb, where he found a cave and spent the night. Elijah was so depressed that he was ready to quit ministering for God altogether. Elijah told God, "The Israelites have rejected you and put all of your prophets to death. I am the only one left." Elijah felt all alone and depressed. God told Elijah to go stand at the mouth of the cave because he was about to pass by. So Elijah stood at the mouth of the cave, waiting for God to pass by. There was a great wind that blew across the cave, but God was not in the wind. Then there was an earthquake, but God wasn't in the earthquake. Then there was a fire that showed up, but God was not in the fire. Finally, there was a gentle whisper. Now this was God speaking to Elijah. In the midst of Elijah's depression, God said, "You are not alone, Elijah. There are 7,000 others who have chosen not to serve Baal. Go." So Elijah went. He went on to do many great things for God and was even taken up to heaven in a chariot of fire. That just goes to show you it's never game over, even when you are depressed. God will always come through.
Stories of the Bible. Elijah in the wilderness. This is Elijah.
Hello.
Elijah was a prophet in Israel during the reign of King Ahab. This is King Ahab.
Whatever.
He came from the line of kings who did bad things, but King Ahab was the worst of them all. King Ahab and his wife Jezebel stopped following God and worshipped a fake god called Baal. Elijah's job was to tell the people of Israel and King Ahab to stop worshiping Baal and to worship God again. But King Ahab and Jezebel didn't like what Elijah had to say, or that he proved to everyone that God was more powerful than any other god. Elijah made Jezebel so angry that she wanted to kill him. She sent him a message saying, "May the gods strike me and even kill me if by this time tomorrow I have not killed you." Elijah was terrified and ran away. He went to a town and he left his servant there.
Go on.
Then he went on alone into the wilderness. He sat down under a tree and prayed that he might die. He said, "I have had enough, Lord." Then he lay down and fell asleep. But as he was sleeping, an angel touched him and told him,
What?
"Get up and eat." He looked around, and there beside his head was some bread baked on hot stones and a jar of water.
Whoa!
So he ate and drank and then laid down again. The angel of the Lord came again and touched him and again said,
Oh.
"Get up and eat some more, or the journey ahead will be too much for you." So he did, and it gave him the strength to get up and continue on his way to a place called Mount Sinai. Later, Elijah would do what God wanted him to and would tell the people of Israel to follow God again.
Depression. It's a very serious thing. Have you ever known someone who was depressed, or maybe you've felt depressed yourself? What is depression? It's a feeling of sadness that is so strong and so overwhelming that it just doesn't seem to be able to go away. Let me show you what I mean. This balloon is going to represent as it inflates when things in our lives are going really, really well. So let's say your friends all really like you. Your grades are really, really good and you just got a huge raise in your allowance. But then something happened. Life started going wrong, things started going against you or someone you love, and then before long, you're no longer full of life. Instead, you felt like a deflated balloon. You felt like all the air had been knocked out of your life. Or you might have tried to get back up and make yourself get over it, but it didn't work. No matter what you thought or what you did, you just couldn't shake the depression. It's a scary feeling. It's a feeling that many kids deal with. Sometimes when people are dealing with depression, they start to question everything. They wonder, did I do something to deserve this? Is this my fault that I feel this way? Is God even there? If he is, then why do I feel this depression? When depression hits, it's easy to get overwhelmed. Elijah certainly felt these things. He was ready to quit. He was calling it game over for his ministry. He even wanted to die. But Elijah did several things we need to do when we face depression. The first thing is,
get in God's presence. Elijah went to Mount Horeb and spent time alone with God. He found that in God's presence was exactly where he needed to be. When you find yourself depressed, you don't need to hide in your bedroom and wallow in your feelings. Instead, you need to get into the place where you can find healing and joy, the presence of God. The Bible tells us in Psalms 17:11 that in his presence is fullness of joy. The best cure of depression is to get in God's presence and
get into God's presence and be still. Remember that God told Elijah to go to the mouth of the cave because he was about to pass by. God's presence wasn't in a fire, wasn't in the wind or an earthquake. Instead, God showed up in the stillness of a whisper. Sometimes we get so worked up that we can't even sense God's presence. We're too focused on complaining, fussing, and talking about how horrible things are. But God wants us just to quiet down and be still. The Bible says, "Be still and know that I am God." It's not easy, especially for me. Being a loud person, it's not easy, even for me. But if we will be still in God's presence and listen to his voice, he will speak words of life to us. So get in God's presence, calm down, be still, and listen to his voice. And then
really remember this. You are not alone. Not one bit. Elijah thought he was all alone. He thought he was the only one living for God. But God reminded him that he was not alone. There were thousands of other Hebrews who were not following a false god like Baal. They were going to help Elijah to fight against the prophets and the people of Baal. Sometimes we convince ourselves that we're all alone. Miss Monique here may feel all alone if she doesn't know that I'm behind her. It's like this. Monique here, right? Is she alone? No, I'm right behind her. But can she see me? Can she feel me? If I weren't talking right now, would she know I was here? But just because you can't see, feel, or hear doesn't mean that it changes the fact that I'm right here for Miss Monique. Of course not. I'm here whether she sees it or not. They are not alone. You are not alone. It's the same with you and God. Sometimes you don't feel him. Sometimes you don't hear him. You certainly can't see him. But that doesn't change the fact that he is there. You are not alone. So if you are depressed today, remember that God is with you. He cares for you. Get in his presence. Be still. Ask him to bring you peace. Because you know what? He's there. He never left you. He'll never leave you or forsake you.
Don't be dejected and sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10b.
welcome to our rewind review video game time. This is Miss Danielle and this is Miss Monique. Are you guys ready to play?
Yep. So ready.
Are you guys ready to play? Yes, you are. Okay, our first level. Pick up your remotes, your controllers, and let's get to playing. All right. The first question, the first level is what you gotta know.
When I'm feeling down, God can lift me up.
Yeah. Woo! It's almost like they practiced that a bunch. Okay, next level. What did Queen Jezebel promise to do to Elijah?
Oh, it wasn't good.
It wasn't
good.
I think it was to kill him.
Yes.
Correct. You are correct. Level 2, success. Level 3, Elijah told God that he was ready to blank. Quit. Along those lines, quit life. He was ready to die.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately. All right, level 4, here we go. What did Elijah finally hear God's voice in at the mouth of the cave?
It wasn't an earthquake, and it wasn't fire. It wasn't the wind either. It was a whisper. It was a whisper.
Yes.
What kind of whisper?
Was it gentle?
Gentle.
Yes.
Gentle.
A gentle whisper. All right, level 5. Was Elijah the only prophet left serving God?
The only prophet?
Was he?
Was he? No, I think there were 1,000.
Was there?
The answer is no. So you are correct.
It took me a second to be like, wait, did we get that right?
All right, next level, level 6. Are you guys playing along with us? All right. According to our lesson today, when I am depressed, get in God's blank.
Present?
That sounds right.
Yes, correct. Get in God's presence. All right, level 7. Okay. According to our lesson today, when I am depressed, I must be blank. What am I doing right now? And now what am I doing?
I want to say joyful or something, but like
I'm moving around, and now I'm what?
still.
And what is our answer?
Still.
Correct. I must be still.
We could have done that without you,
Ooh, all right, teamwork. If y'all remember a few lessons ago, teamwork, that's what we're doing now. All right. According to our lesson today, when I am depressed, remember, you're not a blank.
Alone. You're not alone.
Correct. Correct. You are never alone.
That was
We're never
easier.
alone.
Yeah, we're not.
All right, this is our second to last question. Can God heal me of my depression?
Yes, absolutely.
Correct. Level 9, success. This is our last level. Are you guys ready?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Where was our power verse found?
Nehemiah.
Correct.
8.
Yes.
I think it's 10.
What is our final answer?
Nehemiah 8:10.
That is correct.
Yeah.
You guys did a great job. Technically, it's Nehemiah 8:10b, but that's okay. We had a little bit of a cheat code. And that is our Rewind Review video game. I will see you next time.
Excuse me. What you gotta know?
Sometimes in life we feel like it's game over when we are alone. But we just found out today that you are not, alone. And even in trials, even in things that are coming that may make you really sad, feel depressed, or take away your joy, you can know that it's not game over for you, just like it wasn't game over for Elijah. So stick with us as we continue through our series on Game Over.